15-year-old Steve is so mad at you and you entitled quad.
That's understandable. I'm okay with that.
Hi, I'm Steve, and this is Then You Ruined It, a podcast where me and Jason try to get through just 20 minutes of human interaction without, well, ruining it. Buckle up, folks. It's gonna get bumpy.
So, I think we can all agree that we only have one planet and we need to take care of it. One of the simplest ways you can do that is by the tried and true is by recycling.
I'll keep silent as much as I can, but that's funny right there. Yes, recycling. It's good.
Yeah, I want to talk about recycling for a minute. At least my brain does. Maybe my mouth knows that this isn't a good story and I should bail. Your intro's failing. Stop it. No, I'm still going.
Won't be the first time. We've made an entire podcast out of this. Mouth says no, brain say yes.
Okay, so, kids, recycling is a relatively new concept. I know you've always been surrounded by blue garbage cans where you could just put stuff and feel like a good person. Well, that is a new phenomenon. When I was a kid, recycling was the new hotness. Like, it was just invented. People finally realized that, wait, we could just melt these cans down and make new cans out of them. That's phenomenal. That was world-changing. And they're like, well, how are we going to get people to give us the old cans? And they're like, I know, we'll make it as inconvenient as possible and guilt them into doing it. So we didn't have like a separate bin where a separate garbage truck would come and take it. We had a recycling collection center where you had to take your boxes of garbage and sort it yourself and put it in like, okay, this is the milk jug bin. This is the green glass bin. This is the brown glass bin. Right? Did you have anything like this in Kansas, or did y'all just throw all your garbage out the window like a bunch of dirty Oklahomans?
It's not the Middle Ages. It's not the Black Plague. It's Kansas. It's a little better than that. No, we didn't have separate bins. We did have a separate like trash can that we just set up that had a trash bag in it, and we would toss our cans in there. And I don't even think we really rinsed them out or anything, which is what I do now. But we just tossed them in there, and once it would get full, me and my brother would have to go out on the little patio area we had, dump the bag out, which made the most god-awful noise. Just made me want to die. And we had to crush the cans, like to make them smaller, I guess, to make them transportable. We never asked questions about why we were doing this.
You weren't crushing these cans to begin with? That was the funnest part of recycling.
I mean, but, well, I don't know. I never really had fun with it so if you like stood one up tall ways and tried to stomp on it, there's a good chance that it will probably shoot off to the side and you have to go get it. And it's like, oh, that's just annoying.
What are you? I was say, what are you, the least coordinated kid on the block? But yeah, you were. So carry on. Sorry.
If you put it on its side,
that's been answered.
If you put it on its side, it doesn't work because I would stomp on it and the two sides would clamp down on my shoe. I'm like, damn it, I can't get it off.
It's like podcasting with Charlie Brown.
Those are the only two options. You can't crush a can otherwise, so it wasn't terribly fun.
First off, you're right. You don't put it on the side because then it's going to roll away and you're just going to be chasing it down the street like a dum-dum. But yeah, you just stomp on it and you get that really satisfying crunch. And that's what you do until you enter middle school, and then you realize that you could be a man. And this is what we did. We would first, we would try and compress them with our hands to show off how strong we were. And then when that got a little too easy and everyone could do it, we would do what we saw in the movies and smash them against our heads.
Oh, God.
And if you got it down, you were the alpha that day. You got to boss people around because you smashed the can. And we did this so often and became so ingrained that I kid you not, less than a year ago, I was taking cans out to the recycling tote and one fell out of the bag and I'm holding it and it wasn't crushed. I'm like, I wonder if I can still do it. Wham! And I got it so good. I was so proud of myself. My head hurt for an hour. But I did it. I'm still a young stud, ladies.
Walking back into the house, you're bleeding hard way, and yet you're still so proud of yourself.
I'm still virile. I'm still tough. I ain't afraid of nothing. My services are available to anyone who needs cans crushed or lawns mowed or, Ladies impressed?
Just love the thought of you crushing one kid on your head, 40-some years old, and you crush it correctly, and you just go back inside, tear your shirt off. You know, I can give you another child if you like. Which I wish you would say, because your wife would just be like, no, I'm good. And instantly you're emasculated, and your body shrinks down to normal size, and you just walk off sad because your shirt's gone now. And your head hurts. Because you're a dumb man.
I am a dumb man. I always have been, and I always will be, as proven by the fact that I just had to prove to myself I could still smash a can against my head like I did when I was 14.
I remember trying that. I think it was probably when we were crushing cans, like just as a kid. And I was like, okay, well, I've seen this done. I got to try this at least once. And doing it, I don't know if you're supposed to do it with the lip side in or out. It seems like out is probably better, so you don't cut yourself. Because that's what I did. And so I smashed it as hard as I could into my head and just sliced myself open. And it didn't budge. Like, it didn't go down at all. It was just a can thumping against my head. I was like, well, that was stupid.
So, anyway, so you had to gather up all your recyclables and take them in separate bags down to this recycle depot where you would throw in the stuff. And I had to be 15 because I could drive. Like, that was my job. Well, one of my many jobs around the house is I had to drive the recyclables down. So I drove the recyclables down, loaded up the whole back of my car, which I almost said on the internet, and then I realized, no, that's your security question for way too many things. Do not tell the world what car you drove in high school. But it was baller. It was not baller. So I drove them all down there, and I was putting the newspaper in the newspaper, the cardboard in the cardboard, and then I got to the magazine section, and I started throwing stuff in there, and I'm like, wait a second. People throw out magazines here. Huh. I wonder. And I stuck my head in there so I could see what was in there. And there were like several holes where you could put in your magazines and you could see what was in there. I'm like, there it is. EGM, Electronic Games Monthly. I don't have a subscription to that. I don't have a subscription to any magazines. I don't want to be like some fool in Kansas getting arrested for opening magazines at the Walmart. I'm going to go in there. I'm going to get last month's issue. So I couldn't reach it. So I had to climb up and all the way into the bin. And I dug around and I got so many free gaming magazines from there. But at one point I heard someone driving up and I could hear their car on the gravel because it wasn't a good parking lot. This was just at some dirt parking lot. And I'm like, crap, they're going to think I'm in here looking for porn. So I had to lay down and cover myself with magazines so that I would be incognito as I got my gaming magazines.
Oh my. I love that you were so thrilled with getting essentially my leftovers because I had so many subscriptions. I was actually talking about this the other day because my kids now get Highlights magazine from their granddad. And so for whatever reason, I guess my son's now in kindergarten and the two of them both got into it together. And they're actually going through the magazines and doing the activities and reading. And it's awesome. Telling my daughter, like, man, the time was when I had like so many subscriptions that some days like 6 magazines would come at once. And several of them were like 300 pages plus because it's like, oh, it's the Christmas blowout issue. It's like, oh my gosh, I have so many magazines to read now. I just bring this giant stack upstairs with me and just like, I'm gonna read this all day. I love this. And now I'm older and I have all these boxes, and so the last time we went to visit my parents, saw those and went through them and saw just like, there's nothing special about a lot of these. The historical foundation that is setting these aside for historical purposes already has these issues, so I can just recycle them. It's fine. So I set aside all these magazines, just stacks and stacks, boxes and boxes to recycle, and come to ask my mom like the day before we leave or whatever, like, okay, so where's the recycling center that I can take these? And she's like, oh, we don't have one. It's like, what? So why did I... Huh? I can't take these back with me. Like, what am I supposed to do with them? I don't know. I mean, the dump is out there, so you can take them to the dump. I was like, yeah, but that's trash. That's just going to be burned. Where should I take these? I have no idea.
To the dump. I told you.
Yeah. essentially. So I looked around a bit, like, again, we were leaving like the next day. I was like, okay, well, I have to find somewhere to take these now. And there was nowhere within a decent distance. So I was like, okay, we are just going out to the dump. So we just dumped a ton of magazines and everything. And I felt so terrible about that. Not just because they were cool gaming magazines that you would have loved diving in a pile of.
That I would have crawled through garbage to find. Yeah, I mean,
But
15-year-old Steve is so mad at you, and you entitled twat.
that's understandable. I'm okay with that. Because I had EGM, OPM, PSM, GamePro, GameFan. And there were some that would be like, oh, we're, doing a new offshoot magazine. Now we're going to do one that's just about handheld games. I'm like, well, I got to get that. And I just subscribe. It's like, boom. Now I'm getting specialty gaming handheld magazine that...
These things cost like $40 a year, right?
Back then, they were probably closer to like 20, 25.
Oh, okay. I don't know. They were all out of my price range.
I mean, they should have been mine too, but, I had parents that wanted me to have everything I ever wanted. So, it's like, Mom, is there any way that I can have my 9th subscription? Now, listen to me. This is why it's special. It's like, I was nothing if not a good negotiator, or at least a good salesman. So I got so many video games and magazines and everything. And just like, all right, now hear me out. I know why you're saying no, but you're going to want to say yes by the time I'm done.
These will be worth so much someday.
Yeah.
There is no way I will throw them to the dump.
Nope. I mean, some of the things, yes, but I'm currently surrounded by a lot of the boxes. So some of them made it back home. Some of the ones that I thought might be more valuable. So.
And are they valuable?
I haven't actually submitted them to the Historical Foundation to see if they'll take them, but some of the things are interesting. So maybe, I don't know. One man's trash is another man's treasure, and he'll dive in a bin to get it and say, "Ha ha! I finally have an EGM. I'm a cool kid."
I have to keep plastering my wall with ads.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. My entire bedroom wall was nothing but just walking, just billboards of the games of that year and the year before and the year before that. It wasn't until I got into college that I was like, now I need babes. But I want thoughtful babes, not just hot, big boobed babes.
So who'd you get, like Gillian Anderson?
She definitely was on there, yeah.
That's who every horn dog who wanted to look smart had Gillian Anderson and Terry Hatcher on their wall.
Yeah. Well, also Jennifer Garner as Sydney Bristow. I had lots of that one. And I've mentioned this before. Those were all like print-offs, which again made for a recycling situation later on.
Print-offs? You printed them?
Yes, I printed them on my printer, just like off of whatever website I would find. It's like, oh yeah, that's
That would be like some real 400 DPI crappy scan images then.
a 400 DPI is quite good. You mean
whatever,
400
400
DPI?
I don't know, whatever the DPI we had back then was. We didn't have a lot of deeps in our eyes.
No, I don't even think DPI was a thing when I printed these off. Probably because they were some low quality stuff. So, but they went on the wall, and then when I finally moved out of college for the final time, I took them all off the wall and was like, well, these all have to be recycled. And I'm pretty sure since they had so much tape, I didn't bother taking all the tape off. I just wadded it all up and threw it away. So even then, I was not a good conservationist. I am now, though.
That's all right.
Even though I bet none of this stuff actually goes to a recycling place. I think it just goes to a landfill, but I do my part.
So there was a time in my life where I was a janitor. There are many times in my life where I've been a janitor. And there was a time when I went through the entire office that had black for garbage and blue for recyclables. And I put everything in my same garbage can because I was not given access to any place to recycle stuff. I asked, like, so where do I put the recyclables? They're like, in the garbage. And just... I think recycling's a scam.
It's not meant to be. I get the point, and I know what the idea is, but I think all the places they put the recycling are full now, and they're just like, well, we can't do anything with it. Just ship it overseas, and they'll deal with it. No.
I mean, that literally is a big part of the problem. Like, a lot of the recycling would go to other countries because they could pick through it cheaper, and then that's become cost prohibitive now, and so it's not happening as much. So recycling is not the panacea we were sold on. And I will tell you that we were told about it as part of the 3 R's. That recycling symbol actually stands reduce, reuse, and recycle. But nobody ever does those first 2, because those are hard. I have reused several cans of corn to hold my pencils. But now all my pencils are held, and I still eat corn.
To be fair, you went on to reuse. You forgot to reduce. You could just give some away or get rid of them, like not buy them in the first place.
Yeah, that's the reduce. Like giving my cans away, that's not reducing. Not buying corn is reducing, but then I would be constipated, Jason.
I'm going to choose to, and I heard it this way anyway, so I'm just going to move on with thinking you said I have to keep buying porn.
Corn.
I know. But then think about why you're going to be constipated if you don't get more porn. It's like, I don't think he gets how the human body works. Backed up, maybe, but not constipated.
Well, if you back up too much, it's got to go somewhere and gets into your colon and impacts the darn thing.
But again,
nothing worse than sticky poo.
God.
You made it through another episode of Then You Ruined It. If you still want to hear more from us, you can find us on Twitter. I am @Idahobo, and Jason is @TheJasonSigler. We also do a webcomics review podcast called Digital Strips.